Hello students, today we're going to talk about your project line color movement. We have done a lot of things to help prepare for you to create this project, like watching videos about the elements of art, creating an elements of art foldable to define the elements of art, comparing and contrasting artworks, and even practicing creating different movements with markers or pencils on pieces of paper, just practicing creating different movements. So I'm going to go over the learning objective one more time. Students will define the elements of art, so we've already done that part, and demonstrate your understanding in an abstract piece of art. So that's what you're going to do now. You're going to show me that you know how to use these elements of art to create a specific piece of artwork. So really quickly, we're going to talk about some of these terms. So we've mentioned abstract art, and I just want to make sure you all know what that is. So abstract art is art that is non-representational, or it doesn't really look like anything. So it might just be lines or shapes, which is kind of what we're going to be doing with this. We already know what color and line is. That's what you're going to be using, and you're going to be trying to make a sense of movement. So that's a sense of motion or feeling of motion in the artwork. So it might look wavy, it might look like a spiral, something like that. So here we have a few examples, and we're going to talk about a few things that you might need to consider before you get started. So the first thing is the artistic process. So that's basically, how do I want it to look and why? So do you want it to look wavy? Do you want it to look like a spiral? Do you want it to look boxy? How do you want it to look? And then the creative process, which is you actually making the artwork, is how am I going to get it to look the way I want? Okay, so what steps do I need to take to create this look or this look? How do I need to go about making that? And one way is sketching. So the sketch is your plan. So you might sketch out a few things to help you come up with your plan. And then style is your unique style and what makes it look different than everyone else's. Okay, so here's a little overview for this project. So you are going to be creating an abstract oil pastel work. The only reason you wouldn't be using oil pastels is if I specifically told you that I wanted you to use something other than pastels, but most of you should be using oil pastels. So you're going to create an abstract oil pastel drawing. You're going to create a sense of movement in the artwork, which we already talked about. I want you to use at least 3 colors, and I want you to use shape, line, and color to create non-representational art. So those are your 3 objectives for this artwork. It needs to be non-representational, which means it doesn't look like anything. It needs to have 3 colors, and it needs to have a sense of movement in the artwork, okay? So like I said, you can sketch out your idea first and then add color to the artwork. And you see we have a few examples here. Okay, so these are some of the examples I've been using. I'm going to talk about each of them really quickly before you guys get started. You already know what you need to do, but let's just analyze these examples quickly so you have a little bit more of an idea of the different ways that you could complete this project. So all 4 of these examples here are good examples of what your end outcome for this project could be. So you could do something like this where it looks like a tunnel, right? So doesn't it look like it's going inward because these lines and shapes are much bigger here and then they get smaller there. So it kind of makes you look directly here, right? Everything goes to this point. So that creates a sense of movement because your eye is moving from here to the middle. So they're doing that by using these diagonal lines, and they're also doing that by repeating this dark blue color, right? And also using the light color here, so it really contrasts between the dark blue and the light here. On this one down here, we have a big swirl and then we have smaller swirls in the back. So what that does is it makes it look like this one's in the front and that one goes backwards, right? Now we know this is a flat piece of paper, but it creates a sense of movement of not only a spiral, but it's going backwards. Here on this one in the middle, you have 2 different types of movement. So we have this wavy movement on the side because of these lines and these colors, but then you also have a very straight line here. So there's a lot of contrast between those 2. And over here, you have these really small wavy lines, okay? So it looks like a bunch of little waves right on top of each other. So as you can see, there's lots of different ways that you can do this. So feel free to use your creativity. Use line and color to create movement. When you get done, make sure you show it to me by uploading it on to Buzz. Thank you.